What's up, Profitable Stylist? Here we go. Whose fault is it when something goes wrong? Who's to blame? Why are you muted? Why are you muted all of a sudden?
Am I muted? No, I
Whose
didn't want
fault
to
is
talk
it that you're
over you.
muted? Why are you muted?
I That's one of our biggest complaints is that we talk over each other. So I was trying to be quiet while you're talking.
That ain't my complaint, man. I don't even see, that's the thing. I don't even realize that we do that to each other. Right? I guess
Yeah,
we're so used to each other that it just becomes a thing.
I wonder if sometimes there's a lag and one of us starts talking when we think the other one stopped and coming across on YouTube on top of each other.
I don't
But
know. Or maybe you just like talking and I like listening too much. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
so I this has always been like I don't know what you call it, a bone of contention or something for me because
A bona what?
bone of contention.
The hell is that?
You used a big word.
That's an
Like
expression?
it bothers me because
I learned
I'm
something.
I'm a new hairdresser. 30 years ago, I'm in a salon, and I see the old lady doing hair next to me, and I'm just like 20. So she could have been 35, and I thought she was old at that age. And she's probably older, but she's blaming. She did bad color, and I'm looking over, and she's like, "Oh, it's the weather right now," and I'm thinking, "Put the for sure. I'm new, so I'm thinking, could the weather mess up my color?
Yes.
Like, yeah, maybe
Sure.
I could do everything right, and it could be the barometric pressure
That's right.
messing me. And first of all, I'm thinking, I think she just screwed up. But then I was also thinking, it's not my fault. It's got to be somebody else's. I'm just always taking responsibility for my screw ups, mess ups, learning experiences, whatever you want to call it. So it always blew me away when people in the hair business blame so many stupid things for their obvious mess up, but can't be me. Yeah, it's got to be the manufacturer.
Well,
You
yeah,
know
you
what?
got a bad batch, don't you know?
Got a bad batch. Yeah, and so the bad back in anything. Oh, the extensions is the best. That is the best because I know how much hair is in one big batch, and somebody just does a terrible job with extensions. And listen, guys, I did it once with she hair. I say once, like I only messed up once in my life. I remember there are pieces and parts of the process that I would change from time to time. I'm always trying to get better, but that doesn't come without a learning experience.
A happy mistake, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so I trimmed those keratin bonds a little too short one time, thinking I'll make them more invisible,
Mm.
and they were falling out left and right. I went so teeny tiny that there was just no keratin to hold on, and the extensions were falling out. I called, I think it was Great Lengths back then. I called them up and said they did something wrong. They must have made a mistake. Must have been bad man. I've been doing this for 7 years and I've never had problems. All of a sudden, these extensions are falling out. He said nobody else was calling us having extensions fall out.
Oh,
Well, I must have got a bad batch.
but and your client has worn these for 15 years, okay? She knows how to wear hair extensions. She does
And that was
everything.
the
She
other
does
thing.
everything you told her
She
to do.
had she had worn these for 2 or 3 sets in a row, and I had to bite the bullet and realize I didn't want to realize it. I did do something a little different. It was my fault. It cost me a lot of money and time to take them out, put a new set in. Luckily, I made enough money that I ended up breaking even on it. I just didn't make money. I lost time and I learned a lot. But the best is color. I mean, when colors and highlights and bleaching or toning doesn't come out right, I mean, like it's so often like I can. You want to name some? I can remember, and I was a
Name
little
what?
embarrassed.
Excuses or
Oh,
name what?
you got a list, huh? Yes. I want to hear the excuses because some of my favorites are quietly, in the chair next to me because they don't want to say it out loud. They're like, "Are you on your period?" What? Does that? Am I supposed to put that in my intake form now? Consultation
Yes.
form? During the
Yes.
consultation, are you on any medication?
Are you
Because
cycling right now? Yes.
if you're on medication, how long does that medication take to get into your hair and affect your hair? It is oh my goodness. And you know what? There are a few rare cases where medication might actually affect something with your hair. Or I think that might be the only one. I mean, there's so few. Well water, well water. Oh yes. Are you on well water? I'm holding my
Do
trusty
you
stick.
do you have allergies right now? Are you have you been outside in the sun? Have you been tanning?
Never.
Let's
Oh,
see.
you do have.
Oh. Uh, just wash it a couple of times. It'll be fine. You know, the color has to open up. The color has to breathe and open up,
Yes, if it's too dark, just wash it a few
right?
times.
Have you
And
had too much
I
caffeine? Did you have sex last night? Did you
too much caffeine.
too much caffeine? No, because you know it thins your blood and then it makes you a hot head, and then all of a sudden you
Oh
overprocess.
yeah.
Yeah, that's you got hot roots.
Go back a couple. What was the one you said?
You've
The
been
well water.
outside the well
Wait,
water.
yeah, the outside is great, but the well water. This one kills me because it's never the first time you do somebody's hair. It's somewhere in the middle sometime, and then they ask if you have well water, and then the clients say yes, that might be what it
Well,
is.
because you have to change
But
your softener, Bernard, or maybe you're putting too
but
much
you've been
salt
getting your hair
pellets
done
in
by the
there.
same person for how long? Multiple times with no problems, and all of a sudden the earth has changed the water
I,
down here.
I I can't control how you're treating your well, okay? I look, you put too much salt in there, you don't get it cleaned or cycled or refreshed or whatever happens to well water. Yeah.
You're going to have to get a whole house filter.
That's
That's
right.
what you're going to have
That's
to do.
right. That's
And
right.
then maybe we can fix it. But the other one that, like you just said about the coloring it a little too dark, and
It's got to open up. It's got to breathe. You got to wash it a couple of
yeah,
times and
you
it'll
gotta
just
walk
open up.
a few times. Yeah, nobody can say I'm sorry, I accidentally went a little too dark, or I whoops, I mixed too dark. I left it on too long. Your hair was more porous than I expected. I screwed up. I should have checked it, watched it, test strand. No, no, never, never the hairdresser. I mean, I don't know. Comment below if you take responsibility for your mistakes. If you agree that when it messes up, it's you. So it could be. I love to use that three-legged stool situation because if any
Hmm.
one leg of the three legs breaks, that stool's falling down. So I do think that everything could possibly be the hairdresser, the client, or the product. And so yes, those are the three major contributors of what's coming in. And so the hairdresser's thinking, well, they can't be me. Got to be one of these other two things. Got to be the client or the manufacturer most of the time. And have you been in a tanning bed? I think you just said that
Yeah,
one.
have you been in a
Yeah,
tanning bed?
yeah, that tanning
Did you
bed. It'll
breathe
yellow.
today? Did you open your eyes? Did you wake up?
Are you a mouth breather?
Are you a mouth?
You're gonna you're gonna have to put your lips together and try to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth
Yeah.
because the oxygen, the oxidation, I don't know, something's just messing up your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have you ever used any of these excuses and been embarrassed later? As a
I've
as a
used
young as a young hairdresser, did you believe any of this stuff?
I did. I absolutely did because I've mentored under a lot of different stylists, and I've also mentored and trained with a lot of famous hairdressers as well.
That believe some of this stuff, huh?
Well, it's so it comes down to one of two things. Either the hairdresser's not in the mood that day to sit down and explain to the client because the client is just being unreasonable and they're just over it, or the stylist or the hairdresser that day it just had a brain fart and couldn't remember the reason why they actually goofed, or did the goof actually happen, and are they willing to take that responsibility to deal with it, or can they even deal with it? Do they even know how to deal with it? So I've broken it down into 3 different reasons why this happens, how it happens, and how it could have been prevented or fixed, or how it could be prevented or fixed moving
want to
forward in the
know
future.
which one you believed in the past. What outlandish thing did you believe before you learned the truth?
So you have to understand, my uncle and my aunt were hairdressers.
You don't have to justify your stupidity.
I do, because this is a great one. I used to have to make the confirmation phone calls, and I would say, Madam, you have your appointment tomorrow for hair color. So just to keep in mind, make sure that you don't wash your hair tonight or in the morning. You got to come in with a dirty hair because you're getting your hair colored. You can't have any caffeine or coffee or anything, and you can't have sex.
Are you kidding me?
No. These were my These were confirmation phone calls.
Don't even name your mentor, because I don't want this person to be...
I'm just saying, like, so the clients, so the idea was, the way it was explained to me, that it it raises your blood pressure.
Oh my God.
And your blood pressure releases too much steam in your head, and all the heat is released from your head, and you end up with the hot roots. And you got to come in with the dirty hair to counterbalance, because just in case.
And take a Vicodin so you come in like this. No excitement in your life at all.
Zero. So the clients would come in and they would say, so then they would come in, right? And I'm checking in for my color appointment. You better get me a cup of coffee. I haven't had anything, like, they're all angry. They're all freaking hyper and angry.
Right.
They haven't had any freaking coffee. So I'm like, all right, we'll get you some. Just sit down,
Oh, God.
And then like now mind you, I'm young. I'm making these phone calls. Some of these madams are saying, oh yes, I have an excuse tonight. Yeah. And at the time, I didn't understand what that meant until I got older. And then they'd come in all cheery and happy, and they'd be like, oh, how was your, how are you doing? She's like, oh, I am so happy. Can I use this excuse again? Like, I can't do anything because my hair's freshly colored.
3 more days.
And again, I never understood what that meant. At the time, it went right over my head. And I was like, yeah, sure. Whatever, if you say so. So yeah, I believed that for at least a year or two until I was in a color class and with one of my mentors, and we were sitting out, hanging out afterwards, and I asked about it. And she just looked at me and said, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, isn't that how you get hot roots?
I got
lots of blood flow. That's blood coming out coming out the scalp into the roots of the hair, making the hair bright red right in this area.
Yeah. And if somebody was having a reaction, remember we used to give them the coffee stirs, or we would put sweet and low in the color?
Yeah.
So I
didn't, but I heard, bleach and color.
I thought that person was just angry, and angry people get more irritated. That's why their scalps are getting there, because they're an angry person, so they're irritated all their time. That's because their body is irritable. And so we would have to put sweet and low, and we would have to give them coffee stir to scratch their scalps in the first, during the first 5-10 minutes of oxidation when you first freshly apply hair color. So
I think an irritated body would make an irritated person, but I don't think it's 100% of the time.
But so, because not everybody felt that reaction.
Right.
And so when people would feel that reaction, I would be like, man, you're a crab ass person because you have irritation.
You didn't say it though, right? You just thought it.
That's something that was said to me in passing, and it kind of like, I thought I had this aha moment, like, wow, I just learned something fantastic that just clicked. So I would start making these observations of like, okay, if you complained and said your head itched, are you a nice person or are you crabby? Like, which one are you?
Right.
Which one are you? And then I would like
Right. If
have
you
these little
itch.
mental notes, like, this is crabby person. That's why she reacts. I don't know. What do I know?
I, well, you know what? It's funny because I preach, get a coach, get a mentor. And this is really good because you had them and I never had them in the beginning. I started off in a small town. There were no real super busy. Oh, the salon I went to ended up going to work at about a year in. The first salon, all the top stylists got fired or left within the first few months. So
Mm.
there was nobody to really mentor under after like 2.5 months. And then the salon I went to had an old, really talented stylist, but he really didn't know how to use an assistant, use helper, or pass on his knowledge. Just a nice guy, and I learned a lot from watching him. But he didn't. He wasn't a teacher per se.
Mm.
Not that I didn't learn some things from him, but nobody took me under their wing. I didn't know to ask in a small town. So listening to you is very fascinating because I only think of the good coming from a mentor. I never thought about inheriting a little crazy from a mentor.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
never thought about, and it's not enough to devastate your career necessarily, although a bad mentor or a bad teacher can be very successful, but totally destroy an assistant or a student. I never really have put enough stock in that. So this is an interesting thought experiment for me. But we recently, a tiny bit off subject, but a similar situation, just kind of a fun thing we're doing in the salon the other day is I remembered some of the crazy things I thought was real and true because my mom always said they were. And so I went around asking everybody, what was the thing? And I don't want to do it right now necessarily, but we could relate it to hair. What was the thing you believed earlier in your life was true? And then all of a sudden one day you're like, it's not true. My mom had these superstitious type of things. Sorry, mom, if you're listening, but you don't have to cut the ends off of a cucumber because there's poison in there. You know, my mom thought you had to cut the ends off and rub it on there to get the poison out. And I was always worried she didn't rub it enough times. Like, oh my God, what if we have poison? I don't think I'm eating the cucumbers because she said she would rub the ends of it. And it wasn't until I got married and my wife is saying, why does she rub the ends of the cucumbers? I said, to get the poison out. And she, Miss Carol, what are you talking about, poison? And and she said, oh yeah, my mom taught me or grandma taught me, you got to cut the end off and rub them together and it gets the poison out. And my wife's like, Miss Carol, there is no poison in the cucumbers. We eat the end of the cucumbers. And so I think that relates to every area of life. And in hair, it's like, I never did believe some of the crazy things about hair, but I didn't understand how to explain that it was wrong. Like when they said well water messed up the color, did you take aspirin before your visit? Are you uh, are you on your menstrual cycle? Are you 1 week before or
Oh,
1 week
right,
after?
right, right.
Oh my God, they wiped out 3 weeks in a month that this girl could get her hair done. She or if you're within 4 or 5 days on either end, ooh, it's like, so I just started thinking like, could any of this stuff be true? Which ones are true? I'm
Oh,
not
the
having
drunk too, the alcohol.
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 You guys got a list. You guys watching got a
Yeah.
list of comments of the crazy things you either believed or heard people say they believe that just aren't true. Are there any real ones, Are there any real ones that a person
Yes.
can do? Yeah, so there are some real things a person can do to screw up their hair. And there are some bad batches. But like you said, I like what you said when we were talking about this last week. The few bad batches you've come across within a month or two, the company's out of business.
Right. That's why there's no more bad batches because they're out of business. The company is
Yeah.
gone.
I mean, there could be bad batches and a company could stay in business, but it's rare. I know a few years ago, my cousin called me and said he fertilized his whole yard turned brown. He thinks he might have put too much fertilizer, and I said, "Oh no, did you use Scott's?" A friend of mine said there was a class action nationwide lawsuits. Scott's used the wrong chemical to kill weeds in their formula, and they were burning lawns across the country. And they were giving people anywhere from, in my experience, a few of my friends got anywhere from $12,000 to $50,000 to dig up all their old sod, put new sod down because they accidentally put the wrong chemical.
Okay.
I don't even think it was accidental.
You know what that's called?
What?
Class action lawsuit? That's called a bad batch.
That was a bad batch.
When you have a class action lawsuit,
right,
across the country,
that's a bad batch.
That's a bad batch.
And that was millions, if not billions of dollars to right that wrong. You know, the next year they come out and have a commercial on the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl. So, I mean, they recovered or tried to recover or whatever. They make millions, you know. But yes, companies make bad batches, mess up. But usually we're calling you if this company has a bad batch. We'd like to get that hair back if you have.
You're right. As soon as possible. We got to swap that out for you.
Yeah, there's a recall. Or there's a few times where somebody calls and says, the color just washed right out of this hair. Send me a picture. Oh, crap. And you're the first one. And then we get a few more calls that day over the next few days. And then we will say. So I will usually tell somebody honestly when they say, I think I got a bad batch. I say, what happened? Okay, listen, if we get a few more calls today or in the next week or two, I'll tell you, yes, we got a bad batch. But you might be the first one that discovered this bad batch, but nobody else has called about this. When did you have this problem? Like 3 weeks ago. Oh, we would know by now.
You're right. That's my other favorite thing. Why did you wait? Oh, I got busy. I didn't have a time to call. What?
Right.
What?
Yeah. I got this bad batch back in December, and she wore the hair for 4 months. And now it's starting to knot up and tangle.
And it's hanging so down. It's just hanging.
It's so dry looking.
Yeah.
There's split ends. The hair's tangling together. I think it was a bad batch.
Yeah.
You don't think it was the 4 months of not brushing from the client, possibly? No. I mean, 4 months later, and you think you got a bad batch 4 months ago. You know, it is possible, but I think the bad batch, bad experiences would have started happening within the first week or two. Few days, probably.
What do you know?
Yeah.
I've gotten that before. What do you know?
What do you know? How would you know? And you know how we know? Because we sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of this hair. And not specifically us.
Every month.
We buy from sells us a few $100,000, another. So there's millions of dollars of this hair or this product or this shampoo being sold across the country. And when enough people call in, and you know what? With social media, this world, they don't even have to call in. You'd see it all over whatever Facebook group these people are in. And so I occasionally still have in our Facebook group a person or two say, you know, in one of our ads, we have so many good reviews, so many clients loving it. And then you get this one every few months that says, tried it, hate it, terrible hair, fell out, didn't work well, client hated it. And I'm thinking now, who were you? Did you order? My favorite is you find out this person didn't even use your hair and they're complaining in the wrong group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That happened a lot for she hair because somebody stole the name for a while, and they had these clip-in extensions they were selling in the malls called She Something, and sure, that was it was trying to be fought about don't use the same name, you can't use the same name, but we are not the manufacturer, so we couldn't personally fight it, but we would complain, hey, they've got this company using the She name, they're selling this, they're calling it high-end clip-ins, but it was very low-end. And people would go on our She page and bash the She hair. And then we'd ask for pictures. And it wasn't even our packaging. It wasn't our hair. And and even so with the onstage, occasionally I have somebody that complains. And very often it's the technique. They did something wrong. They haven't even had the training. They got the sample hair in the male, which is mostly just a view and feel quality, but they tried to do it with the wrong tools and it didn't work. It didn't stay in. It didn't do anything it was supposed to do, but you didn't use any of the tools or education you were supposed to use. And they're judging everything on 2 strands of hair that they put in from the samples, you know? And I'm like, is it even worth arguing with them over it? It gives me an opportunity to ask some questions and market the hair in a positive way and ask, well, did you do this? Did you do that? And most of the time they don't answer, so it doesn't matter. But
now we're picking on the stylists, and we're, you know, obviously us included, we're in there too, and we've been drawing attention that there could be a bad product.
Yep.
But there's the third, there's the third peg in there. That's the client.
The lovely client. Right?
Do you even want to attempt?
Oh,
to go down this one?
Definitely.
Because we do have people watching this that are the client and not.
And you know what we call you guys? The crazy. That's what we say. All hairdressers do it. We can lie about it, but we're like, how many crazies do you have? How many crazies did you do this week? That come in and irrationally complain about something. Now, I love the good complaints. It's how I solve problems in my salon. It's how I end up firing people, fixing problems, solving issues. We are not without faults, but we're just talking about the client who is wrong, who is not forgiving, that is not doing the right thing, like the 4 months of extensions matted. First of all, nobody told you these extensions would last 4 months with no maintenance service being redone or taken out. So clients not following directions. Oh my goodness. And you know what? So many of them come back and they're like, I got this tangled, matted mess. I know it's my fault. Can you do something about it? You know what? I don't mind helping that girl out. Own up to your mistake, irresponsibility, lack of maintenance, planning, whatever. But the ones that come in and lie about color, you must have something to say about that, Mr. Color Guy. This is not, I have no color on my hair. This is me. Look in the background. All of that hair on this girl. It's all.
So, you know, the biggest joke of all the hairdressers in the world about hair color is I still see red.
Yeah.
Your freaking hair is green. Your hair is as white as this piece of paper. I still see red.
I still see red. That's true. Or yellow. Red or yellow.
We're sitting in the dark. There is no lights in this room. I still see red. I still see warmth. And basically what they're saying is I see warmth, you know? But yeah, I still see red. Yeah, the brassiness. The brassiness.
I see brass. I see gold. I see red. I see orange.
That is the number 1 color complaint.
Yeah.
They get highlights.
Look at this girl behind me. It's a golden blonde, and you know, truthfully, there's no red. But I guess somebody might say that, you know, this darker patch or where the shadowing is, it's a little orange. But it's like, it's one of the primary colors in color. There is always gonna be red. Isn't there always gonna be red?
There is always red. Oh, you know what? That's another, excuse me, going back to the stylist real quick. What kind of light bulbs you got at home? You got to come out in the sun. You got to come outside. We got to look at it outside. Oh, it's cloudy today.
Right.
There's too many clouds today.
We got these daylight bulbs in our house and in our salon, and the sun outside. If you're going home to fluorescent or soft white incandescent, it's going to look wrong. You just can't go in your house anymore. Come on. We have ragged on the stylist too much. What about the client? What else about the client? I don't have box dye, Eddie.
No. My hair is,
they colored it. so many months
So
ago.
many
It
months
can't still
ago.
be
I
in
haven't colored my I only colored my hair like 4 months ago. This is all it's all virgin now. It's all virgin now. It's fine. What's your problem?
there. Right. That's like right. That's like if it just
Oh,
don't have
I
don't
did
have sex for
a
months and all of a sudden you're a virgin
and you're a
again. Same
virgin
thing.
again. I
Right,
did a
right.
clarify. I clarified all the color off. I clarified it all off, right?
Yeah.
I saw this Tic Tac video, this short reel. It was on the Tic Tacs, right? That's what I was watching. And the what do you call the Insta
Graham.
yeah, Instagram. The Instagrams, right? And you got to put the S afterwards too. You got to make it plural. And I saw this home remedy thing. I put mayonnaise and I slept overnight making a tossed salad out of my hair, you
Hope you
know,
wash that pillowcase
and it's
after.
fine, right? So I said, why don't you just use shampoo like a normal person? Oh, don't try to sell me any of your, corporate crap. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, who decided the grocery store food ingredients are better ingredients for your hair? Like, I don't even understand. Casper would like it would be more reasonable. you know.
He's saying he's seeing a little gold around his mustache.
Oh, is he now?
He wants it bleached out. Lay down, boy.
It's
Lay down.
because he was laying down. He laid down too long and it flattened out his nose. That's why he turned
Yeah.
gold around his nose.
It's the fluorescent lighting.
It's the
So what other? So the customers, what you wanted to pick on them a little bit. You went light on them.
I've been wearing
Oh,
this
wait.
product for many years, right? I've never, ever once in my life, in all these years wearing this product, ever had a problem. This is the first time I've ever had an issue. And I do every single thing, because I've been wearing them. I do every single thing I'm supposed to do religiously, every single step. I have never goofed one step ever. You got a bad batch. That's it. Or, I want a refund. I don't want to fix it. You suck. You're a terrible person. Your product sucks. The entire
right.
company,
Yep.
the millions of dollars of research and development that this company purposely made this batch to mess up my hair. And you did this. So I want a refund. I'm moving out of state. I'm leaving to another country. And I'm going to find somebody else to do this.
I got one. True story. This is the best. And I mean, it was an older lady. And so I'm thinking, how do you do? She comes in like 3 weeks later and she says, my color faded. And I said, let me see. And she does like this. She parts her hair and she goes, it faded right off the roots. Look, my hair's gray again. You just colored it like
That's
3
so
weeks ago.
cute. That's
Faded
so
right off
cute.
the roots. And I was like, that's grow out. It grew out. And she said, no, my hair grows from the ends.
That's so cute.
No, it's not.
That's so cute. There is a level of stupidity sometimes that's just freaking adorable.
But how do you get to that age? You
That's
obviously been
adorable.
coloring your hair for a while. And then all of a sudden, so I said,
I would sit her down and redo her hair just so I can have a long conversation to hear what kind of other stupid I can get out of her. Like, that would have been great.
We talked about it for a little while, and she said that every time she had been doing box color, and this is why she thought that she was doing box color for a while and coloring her own hair. We call it box color as stylists, but she goes, I've been coloring my own hair for many years, and it's never done that. And I said, so you put the color all over your head? She said, well, yes, because I got to keep coloring the ends as they grow out. And and I was like, but
I love that.
you?
I'm getting a kick out of it. I really am, man.
You never got that one, I guess, huh?
Not.
You literally thought. the
What?
hair extended from the edge of the outer edge of the hair. And as I explained it to her, she was not completely believing me. She's like, almost like I'm selling her something that's not true. And I'm thinking, I don't
I
have to
love.
really defend myself here. This is freaking science. This is fact. This is how it, I mean, this is many, many years ago, probably before the internet. So it's like, I can't say, let's Google
Google
it.
it.
You
Yeah,
know,
right.
it's like,
Let's look it up.
let's get an encyclopedia or go to the library and show you how hair actually grows. How could you make it this many decades on this planet and think that the color faded off of your roots? Or is this, is it somebody who was actually losing their mind possibly and relearning? I don't know. She seemed very sane to me and
It's
just not
so fascinating. That level of thing is just so fascinating. How, right? How could you go that long without
right.
realizing or learning or picking up something along the way?
And you know what? I learned a lot from you last week when we talked about color. Even Brennan, he comes in late on Thursdays, so he watches our lives
Oh,
before
cool.
he. Yeah, so sometimes he's commenting, but he come. I get off here. I go into the salon. He shows up in the next hour or so, and he'll always make a joke that has something to do with the live. And I'm thinking, how did he know that? And he'll say, "So, Dad, do you use permanent color on the mid strand to ends?" I'm like, I'm like, oh, you watched it live? He goes, yeah, most weeks I do. And so he goes, y'all are really good. I'm like, well, thank you. That's nice. He's learning, and I'm thinking, it was such a. That's not much different than that lady who thinks her hair grows from the ends. It's learning something that is more of a fact about hair and hair color. And sure, you can stain the mid shaft to ends, but that's all you're doing anyway. And it's better to use the semi instead of the permanent. And so I learned something from you there, and that permanent color is permanent. Something else is happening.
Oh, then you're a client.
Oh yeah,
You're a client. You
I
in the
think
clear. You're a client. You are the biggest offender. Oh,
the,
yes.
the big crazy. I'm another
You're the
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, but I'm not going to even pay for you to put clear on me because I'd definitely be complaining that you just scammed me, took my money and my hair. It still looks the same. It still looks like a. Oh, there's a clear coat. Did you just wave a magic wand over my head and there's no difference. I should go get a clear in the salon today.
Oh my
I need to
God.
go ask
I
myself.
freaking love it, man. You crack me up.
What other
Whew.
crazy do you have on your
No,
list?
look, we've spent the first half of this just going through all the crazy, all right?
All
So
right.
there's got to be a reason for all this craziness.
Oh, I'm glad.
And
Go
you
for
have
it.
your three-legged stool, which I love that analogy that you give. The stylist, the client, or the manufacturer, the product, right? I love that analogy ever since I heard you say it the first time. So I've come up with three things of my own. It's a lack of communication, it's poor planning, or there was an unexpected event. So those are
My
my
water
three things. So I think 90% of the time something goes wrong and who's to blame is a lack of communication. I
Yep,
think
probably so.
90% of the time the poor planning and the unexpected events is a fraction. It's a it's an effect. It's not the cause, it's the effect of lack of communication.
Yeah.
Now, why does lack of communication happen? And I've spent this past, well, I do this all the time, but
Well, because you tell the same story over and over and over to the clients, and you feel like I, I probably already told all of them already, and then you get the new client and you forget to communicate
to
what needs to
communicate with
be.
the
You
client.
just assume they know. That's what happens with most stylists. Surely they know how to take care of their color or their extensions.
So then let me ask you this, because I've been taking a survey all this past week in particular, just for today's live.
Okay.
Look,
Yeah.
this was just asking questions. This isn't anything against anybody, okay? I was raised by wolves. I didn't have parents that were around all day every day raising me proper. Like you're
Right.
very you and Vinci are very hands-on with your children, and your kids
Yep.
have grown up in a very particular way, and they have strengths because of that, right?
Yep. True.
I grew up without parental as much supervision or guidance as much as you guys had. So I have my own strengths and skill sets in my particular way.
Like fighting.
And unfortunately, that's one of them, right? So what it
I don't have
when
that one.
communicating with somebody, I have a lack of fear, but I do have a social awkwardness when I'm communicating with somebody. And therefore I don't mind asking questions or voicing up or saying whatever's in my mind, whether it comes out right or wrong at the expense or at the benefit of somebody's feelings either. I've had to learn that respect over the years. But people that are generally raised proper are a little bit more timid with voicing up when they don't feel comfortable about a situation that's making them feel off a little bit. Would you agree with that?
I would say that's probably right most of the time. And where that comes from is from it is good parents, but sometimes it's over helicopter parenting. Like it's almost like the younger children syndrome too, because either the parents or the older children do everything for the younger ones, so much so that they don't even need to communicate anymore. They just get everything done for them. Let's solve all their problems. We already know what their problems are going to be. Let's fix everything. Let's serve them. Let's just keep them quiet so we can move on with our day. And they don't need to communicate. We purposely try to overcome that. When we go to a restaurant, we try to have Carson in particular order his own food, communicate with the waitress or waiter, and talk to them. When we do anything, I try to get him to do the talking, make eye contact, look, because it doesn't come naturally. And you're right. So in a world with no parents, you're forced to communicate to survive. But yep, that's one of the downsides of living in a traditionally good home, is that the parents do all the community. They feel like it's sheltering or protecting or, saving you from the bad stuff, but it's saving you from the good stuff too sometimes. That's interesting.
So then from a societal perspective, we're always raised to behave and to be proper. If you screw up, if you make a mistake, if you do something bad, you are in trouble.
Right.
So then taking a responsibility for a mishap becomes an extremely scary event.
True.
So then passing the blame is a lot easier. Lying is a lot easier. The fear of owning up to a situation becomes so overwhelming for some people. It literally crushes them. So they don't have it in them to fess up to something, so to say. Do you agree with that?
That's pretty good. I didn't know you were a therapist.
Huh? Oh, yeah. All right, that's our time for. I'll see you next week. Pay at the door.
That's good. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a good point. People just don't want to feel the pain. And you know what we found? Me and my business partner, a couple of the things we value most is telling the truth, fessing up, taking responsibility for when you mess up. And we often in meetings say, we're going to do this, this, and this, and you're going to do this, this, and this. Next week comes and you start looking at the list and you're like, you forgot something or you just didn't do something. And we find that we have a culture of not blaming or yelling or saying, you loser, you said you were going to do this. What good does it do? They'll just say, oh, I didn't do that. Okay, we'll try again. Go ahead and do it then. Or do you think you can still do it? Is it too late? Or do we need to fix what bad came out of not doing it? Can we fix it? Or can we just move on and do it now? Like, oh, okay, you didn't do it. A lot of times I get phone messages, voicemails, and I'm dealing with clients all the time. And then all of a sudden I get a message from the front desk that says, so-and-so from certain state says she left a voicemail with you 3 days ago and you didn't call her back. I'm like, I don't think so. Let me check. Whoops. you're right. I call right away or text and say, I see you left a message 3 days ago. I'm so sorry it slipped through the cracks. I
Right. I
missed
missed
it.
it. Yeah.
Am I too late? Can I still help you? Immediately, just say it. I don't know if people don't realize how good that feels, because to me, done.
It's
The
liberating, right?
It's so liberating. But I think you're right. I don't think I remember or ever knew how bad it could feel, because now when I was a kid I did, but I'm old, dude, and I've been telling the t- telling it like it is and being pretty honest, so much so that my friends and friends' wives ask me when they really want an opinion. And sometimes, many times, they're sorry they asked me, because I'll say, they're like, "What do you think about this dress?" You don't really want my opinion about. I don't like it at all, you know.
And then so that rounds it up to the last part of communicating for me is how nurturing versus how like your patience level. Are you willing, not are you a patient person? Are you willing to give patience in the moment? So for you, like for example, when you were talking about the madam who she thought her hair grows from her ends, right?
Yes.
I don't know why. Like, yes, that is stupid. But
I'm
my
glad you finally said.
no, it is that is so stupid. But the whole scenario, I can only picture a 70, 80-year-old madam, right? You made it to like 70, 80 years old and you still think like that. Like my patience level would be through the roof. I would just want to sit down and have an entire conversation and just listen to her story and hear her life. Why? I don't know. But to me, that scenario raises my patience level. I want to deal with that. I'm my curiosity is through the roof. I want to understand how you get like that, right? But then in some other scenarios, if she was 20 years old and she said that, I would say, "You little punk, you're an idiot. Get the hell away from me. I'm over you. I don't want to like, oh, stupid kids, blah 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 blah." So when you're with somebody and you got to tell something to somebody, how like I feel nurturing from you. I can say the dumbest thing to you and I know you'll say, "Oh, that was dumb. What are you, an idiot?" And I
Right.
won't get offended. I won't get mad. I'll be like, "Okay." Or I know I could say something to you and you'll be like, "Wow, that was actually really cool. That was I didn't, like this. You didn't know I was a
Well, I'm going to be
therapist."
honest.
Right, you're going to be
Yeah.
honest about it. So I have that comfort level established with you from my prior interactions with you, right? So
Right.
then how are you portraying yourself to the rest of the world with everybody else around you? And especially in a stylist and client relationship, as personal as it becomes, how comfortable is that personal interaction? Is it comfortable enough where they feel like they don't want to hurt your feelings, so they don't want to say nothing, and then it's at the expense of them not feeling okay, so you could be okay, or is it at the expense of you?
I love where you're going with this, because I think that it all goes back to like what you were saying, communication. And
Communication.
you're right. From the time that cell phones came out, I never thought my cell phone was a private number, for just
Okay.
friends,
Okay.
because I
Okay.
always communicated till this day. I would put my cell phone number out right now. I don't mind. If someone wants to communicate with me, I can quickly decide when I answer. Nope, you're a look. I'm hanging up a phone the old-fashioned way. Nope, you're a telemarketer. You're a user. You're not real. You're a robot. Whatever. A recorded message. It doesn't take enough much time to get out of that. So I always communicated with the customers, and I'm not behind the chair anymore. So now it's selling classes. But as soon as I was done doing the customer's hair, I said, "Listen, this business of ours, it's a creative industry. It's not black and white. There's a lot of gray area. And for me, for you to get what's in your head, a picture would help. A video is better. But for you to get what's in your head and through your mouth to explain to me so I can hear it and get it in my head, there's a lot of senses being from head to mouth to ears to brain. Now I got to guess what I think you're talking about. There's a chance for a screw up there, you know? And so highlights was my big one. I would say let's get a starting point for a new customer. That your experience with me is going to get better and better because we're going to keep saying a little more, a little less. That's how we're going to get better at this.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to start somewhere. So we're going to highlight your hair. If you have a picture, it'd be great. But let's start with, if you just had to kind of guess and gauge, would you say you want a little, medium, or a lot? Like light, medium, or heavy highlights compared to where you are now? And they would say medium. And I was like, oh God, there's a bigger range there, you know? And so I'd say, well, let's look at a couple of pictures. We'd look through some books, you know, and we get what we think they wanted. And so we do as best as we can with the consultation, the description. Still, there's a margin for not being exactly right. And when they're done, you don't have to listen to their words. You can tell from their face.
Mm-hmm.
I watch their face when I'm doing their hair, and I so often am like, what's wrong? They're like, oh, wait, why? I'm like, well, you don't look so happy. You made a face. And it could just be like, oh, you pulled a hair, you know, or, oh, I'm just uncomfortable, or it's hot in here. But I would say, listen, I want you to be happy because I would be so honest. I'd say, I want you to be happy because I want you forever. I'm trying to build a life here, you know? And if you want to change anything, adjust anything, I mean, just for the long term in our relationship, I want you to love your hair all the time. And so if you feel like you need a little bit more, a little less highlights, if it's a small change and you're like, I think it's enough to change right away, but next time we do it, I think we did a little too much. I'd like to do less. We'll run some low lights through there and we'll highlight less. Or I think I want to be more. I want to go blonder through the summer, and we can do, you know, let's talk about it. Call me. When texting came out, I'm like, text me immediately. If you're happy, great. Let me know that also. But if you need to move, adjust, change, anything, let me know. I want you to get it fixed. And I don't mind spending a whole another hour or two with you if we got to do it. And so I try to communicate to my stylist, but they're like, but I'm so busy. And I mean, she said she liked it when she left. So, I mean, it's ridiculous that she wants to get it changed now. I'm like, what are you complaining about? Are you complaining that you want the customer to communicate with you, but she's crazy? So what? We got a lot of crazy customers. I'm a little crazy. So go ahead, let's figure out how to make these crazy and sane and everything in between people happy. They still have money and want to look a certain way, and you just got to work with it and get them happy, and then they'll love you for putting up with their crazy. They'll like you even more because most people won't put up with it. So I had a lot of crazy customers. So when I said someone was crazy, they had to be like ultra crazy. Right. And I still had a lot of very crazy clients that were very inconsistent, wanting something different every single time. And sometimes you could do it, and sometimes I would say that's a little unrealistic. I don't think we should do that.
And then that's where, you know, that covers all the communication. So then going into poor planning and unexpected events, that's what we're going to talk about next week. Just say no.
Is that next week?
That's
good.
Next week.
I was getting ready to say I could talk for an hour about.
Oh no, that's next week. But that's what leads right into.
Yeah.
Just say no.
They walk in with.
Can we find that old commercial?
Hair. They walk in with your color hair, and they say, "I want to be platinum blonde in 30 minutes." I have to be somewhere in an hour, and it takes me 30 minutes to get there. Can you make me platinum blonde in 30 minutes? Sure. I go grab a wig from the wig shop. Yeah, that'll be next week. We'll talk about unrealistic expectations, and do you have to say yes and do what the client asks? It seems when you ask it like that, it should be a simple it seems like a simple answer, but I know my stylists have trouble saying no, and many across the country. I know you want to say so much more, but we should go right now.
No, that's it. No, I'm going to ask you a question about next week if we can have. All right, let me do the sign off here.
Oh, you're going to ask me next week?
Well, do you remember the Reagan commercial?
Did you already end the video?
Right. Okay. Thank you for watching. I get so excited. See, communication, lack of communication.
I didn't know if you were telling me the video's over and we're chatting now, or are we still live?
I gotta end. Yeah, let's end this. All right, guys, let us know If you're a client, what are some of the complaints you have from your stylists? And to your stylists, if you're a stylist, what are some of the complaints you have about your products? And to the manufacturers, and if you're the manufacturer, let us know what some of your complaints are about all the crazies out there. We'll catch you on next week.
Sorry for calling you crazy.